Hello, I'm Joel Smith. I wrote 2 pieces in the past week or two that I would like to share with you. Many of you may have already seen them in my Facebook posts, but I thought they were worth sharing via video as well. I hope that you find these thoughts useful and valuable. I hope that they ring true. The importance of learning to read, write, and speak effectively. I confess that I am no Jordan Peterson when it comes to speaking, and I am certainly no C.S. Lewis when it comes to writing. However, I have read and continue to read an enormous amount throughout my university education, probably because it's the easiest to do out of the 3. This past year of my life, 2021, has tested my speaking and writing abilities to limits I did not know existed, and I have tried to improve both over the past 7 to 8 months. I have learned that these 3 abilities are the most important components to critical thinking. What I wish I was taught about essay writing in school. In high school, I remember writing essays for my history and English classes only thinking about the grade. It was frustrating to think that essay writing was only important for the grade. I figured that it was a skill that existed for itself. I enjoyed the research involved in each essay I wrote far more than I enjoyed writing the essay. When you write an essay, though, you force yourself to 1. Narrow your focus on a specific topic. 2. Do some research on that topic and create a thesis. 3. Find points for and against your thesis. As you do these things, you begin to become more specific and nuanced in your pursuit for truth. Maybe you will, 4. Adjust your thesis to be more specific, i.e. more particular, and precise, i.e. closer to reality. When you have gathered all the relevant information to your research, 5. You have to organize it into writing. In this stage, you have to meet evidence and objections and incorporate them towards your point in an honest and persuasive way. Finally, 6. You will have to edit the errors that may make your paper look unprofessional. You are trying to create something that matches to reality best after all. Critical thinking is a surgeon's scalpel. There is no room for vague opinion. Opinion is often unsubstantiated and, vague. The only thing needed to constitute an opinion is that someone holds it. Opinion doesn't need to be true. Opinion doesn't need to be precise. Neither does it need to be effective. Opinion is a good starting point, but it must be transformed into belief that seeks truth and justified by sufficient evidence and investigation. Masterpieces stand the test of time. In this sense, a beautiful sculpture is not much different from a great piece of writing. The sculptor creates his sculpture as precise and flawless as he can. He thinks of every detail and painstakingly chisels beauty out of a block of stone. An opinion is quite a lot like a block of stone. It's there, but no one knows what its point is. It doesn't aspire to anything more than its own existence. In writing, your pen, or keyboard, is the chisel. But you must also have knowledge and research to write in an informed way to make sure that what you are chiseling out is as precise and true as possible. What beauty there is in the strength of well-written, purposeful, and precise delivery of truth. Writing, speaking, problem-solving, and power. Writing is a practice in precision. Precision seeks truth. Once again, not everyone needs to be a C.S. Lewis when it comes to writing. That being said, everyone should have some skill in writing. When you write, you speak in more permanent words. If you can be precise in your writing, it will come out in the way that you speak. Writing and speaking are closely related. If you can speak precisely, then you can identify problems and slice them up into thoughtful solutions. If you are generally inarticulate, you will have little force in the inevitable important conversations and arguments you will have with your friends, family, and anyone else regarding your beliefs and faith. You may be able to know that there is a problem with the situation you are dealing with, but you will have difficulty identifying it precisely. Will you be able to communicate the problem to other people? Will you be able to solve the problem in all its faculties? Problems, after all, are not usually just one problem. However, if you are articulate in your writing and speech, you can delegate, administer, solve, and integrate all kinds of things from social situations to management in the workplace. Writing and speaking are tools of power and authority, despite your position. It is incredible what you can do if you are articulate and thoughtful in your speech and writing. You can be a force of power and good in all kinds of spheres, such as your family, your friend groups, your workplace, your church community, your greater communities, and the greater public. Writing and speaking are essential tools to all of life. You don't have to be perfect at it. I know I'm certainly not, but striving for perfection in your writing is a poor and vague goal anyway. Perfection is a state. Excellence is something we strive at one step at a time. Excellence is a journey with hard work and dedication. Excellence is achievable. Perfection is not. And finally, reading. Reading is important for two reasons. I have already touched on the more evident reason, which is that you have to get to the bottom of the topic or problem that you want to argue on or solve. You are searching for truth in the most precise fashion you can. It is essential to inform yourself about the topics and problems you are speaking on or writing on. However, the second reason is broader. As an individual, no one comes up with a lot of wisdom on their own. The only way may be through experience, deliberation, and hard thought, but you do not have to do all this by yourself. The point of getting a humanities education, for example, in university, is to experience and incorporate the wisdom of the ancients and to learn to read, write, and speak effectively, and therefore think effectively, with the great literature and art that came before. We are very unlikely to come up with thoughts greater than the wisdom of the people who went before us without understanding it in the first place. Many of the great works in culture that have survived centuries until today are incredibly relevant to reality. We have people who construct and people who comment and critique. Through this, great wisdom and thought develops over centuries. This is not necessarily progressive or revolutionary. Postmodernism seems to show that the progressive project is not necessarily the case, merely through the mainstream rejection of utopia of certainty. But you can navigate these great seas of culture if you inform yourself and incorporate these great works into yourself. You can take the good and relevant and discard the bad and irrelevant. Through this, you will get a notion of your own ideas and what you should keep and what you should discard. Do not try to come up with theories of the world without understanding the thoughts of great people dealing with the same questions. Conclusion. Critical thinking is made up primarily of reading, writing, speaking. That means that thinking is as much of a collective activity as an individual activity. If you can read, write, and speak effectively, you can organize your own thinking more clearly. You will perceive yourself doing it naturally. It is an activity of power, competence, accuracy, truth discovery, and truth-telling. It is an important component to our humanity so long as we use it well. That is why it is important to learn to read, write, and speak effectively. Okay. A quick and personal meditation on 2021. I don't think I've ever read as much or as eclectically in a single year as I did this past 2021. I was truly blessed for the time and energy God gave me to go through all of these. It has been my single most formative year in reading, writing, thought, and experience. I won't pretend that I've gleaned all that I could from every book I've read, and I certainly could have spent more time on a few of them. However, some of these books have changed and affected my life so completely in the most drastic ways possible. Here are some things I've learned this past year. 1. You generally don't have ideas. They tend to have you. I went into 2021 with the goal of gaining and having all the knowledge and ideas I possibly could. But when you interact with powerful texts, an idea, conducive or contrary to your beliefs, can truly grip you, no matter whether you like the idea personally or not. Nothing rings more beautifully and powerfully than the truth, and nothing cleanses and extracts more painfully and beautifully than a genuinely respectful but powerful critique. Some of these writings and ideas hold on to you. Sometimes it's a battle of mastery over yourself and the idea you are reading. Your beliefs and your very faith is at stake. What will you do? Number 2. If I believe my faith is true, I cannot treat it delicately. I have not had an easy faith life. It has gone from childlike belief to teenage estrangement to indifference to intense anger to loving faith again with much overlap. Throughout this, God kept me. My faith journey will always continue to be tumultuous. My faith is strongest in my war with, through, for, and against it. I'm always wrestling, and I love it. I put it under a tremendous amount of pressure this past 2021 through my reading, writing, and experience. When I did that, I understood a little bit more why my Christian faith was so important and powerful. I will continue this war joyfully, sorrowfully, and consistently badly. I pray God will continue to better me through it. God kept me through this past year, even though I didn't see it at the time. God will keep me through this next one, even though I may not see it in the moment. Number 3. Be humble when you engage with things beyond you. Do not treat ideas, political and/or philosophical, as weapons. Cooperate and critique respectfully in your pursuit of truth. Strive for God, not for victory. Do not try to be a genius, creating new ideas to stamp your name on it. There have been plenty of incredibly intelligent people who have come before you, who have interacted with similar problems. Consult them first. If no one provides you with a sufficient solution, then try to make one. Chances are that you will only innovate good ideas rather than create them. If a good idea is true, usually it hasn't really been created by you in the first place, but you have uncovered something true about reality. And that is remarkable. Number 4. Combining the previous 3 points, do not be intellectually arrogant. The truth of reality is greater, more powerful, and more ancient or primal than you. Treat wisdom with respect. I hope I can read this writing next year and continue to reflect well on it. For those who took their time to read or listen to it, thank you. I hope it was helpful or that it rang true. I hope it was worthwhile, and I pray I have reflected honestly on my faith and learning.